Aloha all. I'd like to thank the Historic Foundation for inviting myself and my wife to come here to talk to you about our house. I didn't know anybody was interested in listening to me say anything about the house. I usually talk to, people that come over to my house, and I give them the story. Anyway, my wife and I are proud owners of a historic home. I would say we're more like caretakers of the house because we take care of the house, and this house will be passed on to our children. And so I always tell my daughters that you take care of the house will take care of you. You take care of the property, And I'm always telling her, you can't do this and you can't do that. So I think they bought into the program. Anyway, I would like to share with you 3 things about the house. First of all, a brief background about the house, the history, and also what's it like living in a historic home, even though I see a lot of our neighbors and friends here who live in beautiful historic homes. And third, I'd like to talk about some of what we did to the house and trying to keep with the integrity of the house. First of all, this property is called the Davis House. John Davis bought the property in 1928, and it was 22,000 square feet. It went from Mohala all the way to Armstrong. And then in 1921, he subdivided the property into 3 parcels, and he keeping the biggest portion, which is 11,000 square feet, which it's, the house sits on right now. And he also constructed the house, had the house constructed. It was Lewis and Cook home, and the architect was Ray Morris. And in fact, our neighbor, she also has Lewis and Cook home, and the next neighbor has the same thing too, Lewis and Cook. I think on our street we have the most historic homes on one street. I think we have 9 historic homes on one side. This is on Mohalaway in Manoa. What's the history? People that lived in the house before us, we had a federal judge in there, Niels Tavares, and he was succeeded by Samuel King. And we also had a famous poet. Her name was Jane Comstock Clark, and she wrote many poems about Hawaii. And in her book that my wife is going to show you later on, 1934, we found one of the poems that she wrote, and she wrote it about the fountain that we have in the front yard. Also, James Clark's husband, who was Colonel Adna Clark, he was instructor at University of Hawaii, ROTC, Punahou School, and also Kamehameha School. And he was also one of the persons that was responsible for creating Punchbowl Cemetery. Wow. Yeah. So now let me talk to you something about how we acquired the house. We were looking for a house in 1983. We came to Manoa. We made an offer on a home, and lo and behold, we got it rejected. So somebody, a friend of a friend, told us to, hey, why don't you go take a look at this house? It wasn't for sale, but why don't you just go take a look? So we said, hey, what the hey, let's go look. So we set foot for the very first time, 1983, on this property. As we walked down to the house, we noticed that the garage was boarded up. And I looked inside the garage, and I noticed there was a hole. There was some wood missing. And as we went down the stairs, under the garage is maid's quarters. And I looked in there, and nobody was living there. And come to find out that the garage was condemned. The person living there had it condemned. And so already for me, a red flag went up, bing, you know, and you got to fix the garage. And so we proceeded to the main house, and we walked in the kitchen. The kitchen was substandard. The cupboards had all sliding doors. The bottom cabinets had no doors. And so another red flag went up. You know, we'd have to renovate the kitchen. And so we made our way into the main house. This is the living room on the left-hand side. And when we walked in there, all the windows were nailed shut. That means all the ropes, these are double-hung windows. And I looked at that, I went, what? So something else you have to fix. But the house was very cool, and we had a nice view of the valley. And the floor, right, this is the after. When we got in there, it was a brown stain throughout the whole house, and we couldn't figure out what kind of wood was under there, whether it was pine or birch or what, and we had it sanded, and we never changed any boards in there. This is the original from 1921. And what's unique about this floor is it's no two pieces joined together. That wood runs from one end of the house to the other end. It's 52 feet long. Wow. Yeah. So, you know, you go to other homes, you look, it's all joined together. This one runs all the way down. I went under the house to inspect the wood. And so we make our way. We're looking at the bathroom, and you saw a picture of the bathroom. Had a funky tile with a lot of dragons in there. And I said, whoa, what is, I thought I was at Wolfette, you know. So as we make it to the bedroom, incidentally, the picture on the right-hand side had, the door was rotten. We had to fabricate to the exact size of the original door. We had excellent carpenters that fabricated that. This is our bedroom. When we got to the bedroom, as you can see, we have a nice view of the valley. And every morning we wake up, we get the Tuahini rain. We see the rainbow. But my wife was in here, and she was standing on the right-hand side of the bed right there. Of course, the floor was all brown. And she started crying. And I said, what's she crying about? You know, I was saying, oh, no, don't tell me she's pregnant. She said, this is it. I said, what? This is it. This is the house. You know, she was moved. And I remember that day, like today, I can tell you, she was standing right there. So I said, oh, no. So I went back to take a look, examine the house again, see all the repairs, because I just got through renovating another house we lived in Kailua. And so we decided, well, you know, she wants this house. Yeah, let's make an offer to see what happens. We put in an offer, and lo and behold, they accepted the offer. I went, oh, no. So, yeah, I wanted to cry. So, you know, when we bought this house, a 105-year-old Korean lady told me, you take care of the house will take care of you. You know, this 105-year Korean lady had a house at Wailupi Circle on the beach. She also had her own taxi business. She only made it to the 3rd grade, and she had a house in Kailua. That was her grandmother. You know, and I remember that. Take care of the house will take care of you. And then we had this old Irish man said, this was the stupidest thing you folks ever did. That was her father. You know, about a year later, my father-in-law sold his house, and we renovated the garage, we renovated the maid's quarters. He came to live with us. He was in the maid's quarter, and then he would wake up, get his coffee, he would sit in our living room, and he would look out, you know, the scenery, and he says, you know, this is the smartest thing you folks ever did. You know, our house, these walls right here were all original to the property. And you see the porch right there. Later on, I put a gate at the front of our property, and I put the same treatment at the cap on the wall to resemble the front porch over there. The picture on the left, these rocks over there, one of my friends who's a mason, and his father is also a mason that worked on Alawai Canal, also downtown, and he said these rocks right here with the steps coming down are curbing. And I know these rocks, they're about 4 feet long and about 2 feet wide. I know they're about 300 pounds plus. I was wondering, gee, how did you get the rock here in 1920? Because it didn't have, you know, a backhoe or all the modern equipment. The picture on the right is our property sloped down this way, so we tried to create some level space, so I hired somebody to put that rock wall down. I'm a kind of a visual guy, and I watch people when they do things. After they do it, then I go and experiment. The wall in the back, you can see that wall's not that straight. You know, I built that wall. But all of the rocks that you see right there came from our property. Wow. So instead of, you know, throwing stuff away, we just reused it. This was my first wall, probably in '86. You can see it's pretty rough. And so, again, the rocks all came from the property. These stones right here came from the next street. It came from Beckwith. And these stones right here, they're probably about 90 pounds each. And they were tearing a house down, and I saw all these rocks. And they had big ones, about like this. They were more like 200 pounds. I couldn't lift those. But I went and grabbed a whole bunch of these rocks. I used to have a hollow tile. And, you know, the hollow tile did not match the house, so when I saw these, I went and grabbed them all. The picture on the left is by the garage. And again, I constructed this wall over here. And again, these rocks came from our property. The fence, the gate right there, I guess the gate is about 50 or more years. It came from the front of the property. I took it off and I put it on the back. The piping I got from a guy in Staten Island surplus. Instead of buying new 2-inch tubing, I went and I picked this up for 20 bucks. And I installed that myself. The gate down below, as I was talking about the capping, I carried the same type of theme as you would see on the porch. So when you'd come up, you'd look, oh, looks like it was there before. This other gate I saw in a friend's yard, it was lying there like he was going to throw it away. It was a 8-foot gate over here. I cut it down. I had it fabricated, and then again, I installed that over there. The lamp posts, I had a lamp post on a 4x4 post, and I had sort of like a modern type of light. After I put the gate, it didn't look good, so I took the old light down, and I got this one from Amazon. The back of our property is is hilly. It has a terrain like that. So my wife saw this in the magazine. If you get some bricks and you terrace the property right there, you can make it level. And so we had a friend that they were tearing down the house, and I saw all these bricks lying in the garage. I'm a rubbish picker. These are 100-year-old bricks. This came from the Silver Building in Nu'uanu. And, a lot of them have stamps on it. It says L.A. and Company. It's bigger than the bricks you'll find at City Mill. People look for the old bricks. They don't like the new. I don't like the new ones. It looks fake. So I just thought we brought this thing down to show you folks. I also, you see the edging right there, the grass to the garden. I had a lot of black plastic edging. I saw this in Butchart Gardens in Canada. I've never been to a more beautiful place in my life. And so I got the inspiration to do that. So our whole yard, I put all these cement, and I put, every 3 feet, I put a brick inside there. A lot of the inspiration to do this, you have a historic home, then what? What do you do? And so we went to Bend, Oregon, the historic district. We saw the homes there, fabulous. Went to Ashland, Oregon, fabulous. Boise, Idaho, just knocked it out of the park. It's beautiful. I went to school in Boise. I didn't know they had that beautiful homes. Of course, most of my time was spent in the Animal House, with party. And so about 3 years ago, we went back and we took a look, and what was jaw-dropping is what the houses were selling for. A 5-bedroom, 3-bath, half-acre cottage. Cottage is 1,300 square feet, 500,000. And so I would say, we're from Hawaii. Anybody who owns a house in Hawaii can buy that house. Just like Oprah, you get one, you get one. Everybody. Things are so expensive, and my daughter was there. She couldn't believe how cheap, the homes were. The picture on the right is, my wife is into Korean natural farming. And so I got these barrels, 55-gallon barrels, and we have chickens, which she'll talk to you about. And I painted this to match the house. So we have several barrels around the house. The one on the left, that's in the front of the house, the barrel. We use that to fill up a pond. We have a 500-gallon pond down in front of the house where we have aquaponics. This other barrel, this is in the back of the property, and we use that to, water the plants, and the hose is long enough that it could reach the pond. So when we had the big rain, this thing filled the pond up. My next project with the water is I want to put a catchment tank, a big one, maybe 500 gallons, and I want to use that to flush the toilet. And also the washing machine, because, the toilet, when you flush the toilet, you're flushing 3 gallons down all of them, 3 gallons, 3 gallons, 3 gallons. This picture right here, the picture on the left, it was a closet. And this house only had 1 bathroom. The picture on the right is in the master bedroom. That's where the closet was. So what I did was I put a half bath in there. And when you're working on these projects, you have to be very careful not to break anything in there, because you only have 1 chance to get it right. And so I had to fabricate some of the wood in there, but I'm proud of this here because you can't tell where I used the new stuff and the old stuff. And then under the house, the picture on the left, we have a safe room in case a hurricane or tidal wave or nuclear holocaust. Anyway, that's a solar generator. You know, when the electricity goes off, the pump stops pumping gas. So that's a solar generator. It's 20 pounds. You can charge it on the battery with your cigarette lighter, or you could charge it in the car. You can charge it household current, or you can charge it with photovoltaic. And the battery on the bottom is a deep cycle marine battery. You could add it to this system right here, and you can prolong usage or running icebox. This right here alone can run regular icebox for 33 hours. To me, this is the best unit on the market. Photovoltaic, I put the panels on the side where you can't see it. You can't see this from the road. You can't see it from the back of the property. This is the basement right here. Inside here you have an icebox, you have beds, you have tables. I have 110 gallons of water in there. Couple boxes of soup. Anyway, I put some plants in there because I saw that on YouTube. The astronauts, when they go up into space, they take that to filter the air. So, and these plants were the plants of choice. Snake, what do you call it?
Mother-in-law's tongue.
Oh, mother-in-law's tongue. They give off oxygen at night. And, you know, they can stay in the dark. You don't have to water it that much. The other one is a spider plant. And another one was the money plant. And so, looking on YouTube, I think, well, you know, let's clean the air down there. So I just leave the plants down there. And that's it. And I think my wife will pick it up later on and go into more details. Thank you.